Do you like golf? Do you know any of the rules that professional golfers have to follow? Well, we have all the information for you about golfing rules, and some of them are pretty interesting. We've got quite a few coming up, but if you think of any more rules along the way, then make sure to leave a comment down below. Anyway, grab a seat because we're gonna get started. First up, count those clubs. Yes, golfers need to make sure they only have 14 sticks in a bag. You wouldn't think anyone would be counting at a tournament, right? Well, they do, and it's pretty interesting that they do count how many clubs a golfer has in their bag. Did you know this crazy rule? I know I did. Next, when the ball falls off the tee. You would think that when the ball falls off the tee, then there would be a penalty, right? Well, that's actually not true. Golfers are allowed to re-tee their ball without penalty. But if this is the second time it's happened, then they have a penalty. So if you're in a tournament and your ball falls off the tee, don't worry about it too much the first time. Now, giving advice. It's normal to ask for advice when you're golfing. We all do it. There's no need to feel ashamed. However, in a tournament, that's a bad thing to do. The penalty is 2 strokes if you ask for advice, because it is deemed illegal, so that's why they don't do it in a tournament. Obviously, if you're in a team match, then you can talk to your partner. They don't expect you to have telepathy. Did you know this about giving advice while in a tournament? I didn't. It does make sense though. Next, the difference between a water and a lateral hazard. A water hazard is marked in yellow, while a lateral hazard is marked in red. If you aren't going to play from the hazard with a clean shot, then we suggest you don't do it. Those that try this will be faced with a 1-shot penalty, and it's not just worth it if you ask me. However, if it is a lateral hazard, then it's slightly different. You still have to identify where the ball crossed into the hazard, like with the yellow stakes, but if you are given 2 clubs length area to drop, also, you can go to the other side of the hazard only if it isn't closer to the hole, and that is where the drop is. Did you know this about water and lateral hazards? I feel like these rules make sense, but I wonder what people are thinking when they do go into a hazard. Up next, you cannot improve the lie or position of your ball. If you hit the ball and it lands under the tree, then you're probably thinking you can still hit it. However, there might be a tree branch in your way and it's interfering with your backswing. You can just move it out of the way, right? Wrong. In a tournament, golfers cannot improve the position or the lie of their ball. That also means that they can't move or bend anything that is growing or fixed in the realm of their swing. I'm sure some people get annoyed by this and just want to rip a tree branch off every once in a while, but they can't, and we all have to live with that. Did you know that? I definitely didn't know you couldn't even move a tree branch. Now we have beach rules. There are 2 things that golfers cannot do in the sand, and that is grounding their club and moving impediments from the bunker. That's right, you can't be throwing your club around in the sand or moving some rocks that are around your ball. Where your ball is, you just have to try and hit it. Otherwise, you're about to get some penalties and no one really wants those. Next, rake in bunker. Let's say a golfer hits their ball and it lands against a rake. Well, guess what? They can move the rake. The reason for this is because the USGA says that it is a movable obstruction, so you can move the rake to get to the ball. Weird, right? I definitely didn't they would have a rule like this, but that's golf for you. And now we have tapping down your putts. This doesn't happen as often as it used to because many players have softless spikes. However, there are still some spike marks that show up on the green and they are pushed down sometimes. I am here to tell you not to do it. If you push a spike down, then you're going to get a 2-stroke penalty and it's just not worth it, to be honest. Keep watching for some more crazy golf rules. Did you know about any of these rules that need to be followed in a tournament? Let us know down below. Anyway, back to these rules. Next, lost ball time. Golfers actually only have 5 minutes to search for their ball. The timer doesn't start when they hit it though. No, it happens afterwards when they're searching for the ball. However, if the ball can't be found, then it's deemed as lost. Interesting, I wonder where they got 5 minutes from. Up next, announcing the provisional. You can't say reload. Why does the USGA say you can't say the word reload? Well, it's because it does not constitute a proper procedure. Instead, the golfer needs to say, I am hitting a provisional to competitors. Interesting, right? Also, you need to abandon your provisional ball if your original isn't lost or out of bounds. Also, if it's been determined as a water hazard, then you can't have it then either. On top of this, if you've had a great provisional shot, then you don't want to find your original ball rule? Well, if anyone finds your original ball before you play a shot with the provisional, then you have to play with the first ball instead. Crazy, right? I didn't know they were that strict about the balls in tournaments. I wonder who came up with this rule. Now, order of play. This usually shows up in match play, but whoever is farthest away from the hole is up. If someone decides to break this order because they're a rebel, then the competitor is allowed to cancel the shot, forcing them to replay it. However, don't call this on a competitor because they probably won't forgive you and might just put something through your windshield after the tournament. Next, one ball condition. You can only have one ball brand. You've probably seen this when Phil Mickelson was dinged for using two different types of makes at the President's Cup. Were you surprised when that happened? I know many people were, but you're only allowed one make, and if you use two, then you're in trouble. Make sure you have the right balls before joining the tournament because you will get in trouble. Did you know this rule? Do you play with one make, or do you not think about that? Now we have sprinkler heads. Sprinkler heads are considered as movable objects by the USGA. Weird, right? Well, golfers get relief if the sprinkler head is interfering with their swing or the ball. However, it does not count if it is in the line of play. So you have to be careful of those sprinklers on your way to hitting the balls because you could end up in some trouble and might need to bring out the wedge. Did you know sprinkler heads are considered movable objects? I know I didn't. Next, identifying your ball. This might be a surprise to many people, but the USGA does allow golfers to pick up their ball if it's been buried, so they can see the ID. The USGA has said that the player must announce his intention to lift the ball to an opponent, fellow competitor, or a marker, and mark the position of the ball. He may then lift the ball and identify it, provided that he gives his opponent, marker, or fellow competitor an opportunity to observe the lifting and the replacement. It's a good thing that they look at the ball, otherwise you wouldn't know what's going on. The last thing you want to do is get caught by a different make because it's not your ball and then you get a penalty. Lastly, flag stick. Just don't go hitting the ball into the hole when the pin is still in. Why? Because then that counts as another hit and it's really frustrating for players. Luckily, in major tournaments, you never see this happen anymore because people won't forget to take it out. However, if you want to play like a pro, then you should remember this rule. Another rule about the pin is if you hit it when it has been taken out and it's lying past the pole, just don't go messing around with the pin because that will get you in more trouble than it's worth. You could also get in trouble if you're purposefully leaving the flag in while attending to it, causing a penalty for your opponent. Did you know about the flag stick rule? Well, that's everything for this video. Did you know any of these golfing rules that are followed at tournaments? What do you think the USGA was thinking when they made these rules up? Do you know any of the other rules? Let us know down below because we love to know what you're thinking.